Welcome back to the channel. It's great to see you all here today. Today I have my trusty Music Man Big Al 5 bass. It's part of the story I'm about to share with you all. It's the story of how I almost got arrested in Taiwan, which then morphed into one of the worst days of my life, in the air. So, I'll start from the beginning. This is around the year 2011. I was living in Shanghai, China, and I was playing with pop stars from the mainland of China and Hong Kong and Taiwan, and it was fun. I had to get this bass to compensate for their keys, like E flat, D flat, so I had to get a 5-string bass. Anyhow, so we were playing in Taipei with a pop singer named Shunza. After the concert, we had this huge show in front of thousands of fans, and then we had an after party, and that involved tequila and vodka. It was this really fancy bar in downtown Taipei, and I remember being like hungry, but there was no food because it was more of a bar. It was more of a just drink party, not an eat party. So we drank. And then we went back to the hotel because the next night we had to fly back to Shanghai. All of us lived in Shanghai. That was our home base. The flight from Taipei to Shanghai is about an hour and a half, but it's an international flight. So I woke up in the morning and I wanted to eat something. I was hungover from the night before, but I wanted to eat. So I went out on the street, and there was like a little kind of like stall restaurant where it's like a buffet. You kind of just serve yourself. There's like kebabs and tofu and rice and all kinds of vegetables. So my first cue was there was no one in that restaurant. You always want to eat where it's a busy place, but I was just hungover and I was tired. So I was like, all right. So I just made a quick plate and I ate, I think probably half of it, paid the guy and I left. And then we all got in the van to go to the airport, me and the rest of the band and our managers. And I think the pop star, she went ahead of us, I think, or she was staying in Taipei. So we get to the airport in Taipei, and I have my bass guitar. I have a soft case, which is kind of like a backpack, so you can wear your bass on your back. And I've flown with this particular bass guitar everywhere. I mean, Europe, Malaysia, everywhere throughout mainland China, Hong Kong. And I always just bring it on the plane and put it in the overhead. It always fits. There's always more than enough room. It fits great. There's no problem. Everyone's happy. My bass is safe. I can keep an eye on it. No big deal. And then I came to Taipei. And when we came to leave the main check-in gate, the gentleman that worked at the airport stopped me and says, "Oh, sir, excuse me, you must check your guitar." And this is where the problem started. So I explained to him nicely that I can't check this. It's a very expensive instrument. I always fly with it being in my overhead, and don't worry, it'll fit, no problem. And now he started to get a little bit upset with me, and he persisted that I check it. And in that point in my head, I decided, what should I do? And I decided I'd run. So I made a run for it with my bass towards like the plane check-in. So I'm running with my bass guitar on my back. And I realized, they're probably got a radio ahead, and I got this bass on my back, and I got my long hair, and I'm a white guy in the airport, and, in Taipei. So the next barrier or check-in zone spot, I could see like they were kind of talking amongst themselves, and the manager of the singer I was with saw what was going on. He's like, "Hey, EJ, I tell you what, man, just give me your bass guitar." For some reason, he was taking a different flight back to Shanghai, the way it was booked, but we were all going back to Shanghai. And I knew him. He's like, "Just tell you what, man, just give me your bass guitar. They're not looking for me. I'll just carry it on and check, and I'll just put it in the overhead. And then once we get back to Shanghai, we'll meet up at a bar, and I'll just give your bass back." I said, "All right, cool." So I gave him my bass, and I went to get on the plane. They're like, "Stop." They're like, and they were kind of confused. They're like, "All right, where is it?" And I'm like, "Where's what?" I played dumb. "Where's what? What's your name?" And I was like, "What's going on? What's going on?" So I just kind of played dumb and got onto the plane and found my seat and I was sitting there, and all the staff got on the plane, and they were looking really kind of mad and upset. And they came to me and they're like, "Where is it?" And I'm like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." And they looked at my overhead and they looked confused, and then they got off the plane and we took off. So it worked. So I landed back in Shanghai. Now this is the next part. So we're in the air. I'm like, oh, this is great. You know, the manager's got my base, no problem. Disaster averted. Because if you check this, even in a nice high quality case, it's gonna get broken. And I had a soft case because I always flew with it in my overhead compartment. So I'm in the air flying from Taipei to Shanghai, and all of a sudden I feel really sick. Not just hungover sick, but sick. It was mega food poisoning. It was beyond mega. I couldn't believe it. I spent the most of the flight in the bathroom in the airplane. It was horrible. I think I was green. I was sweating, and I had the chills at the same time. I thought I was going to die, to be honest with you. Whatever I ate at that little restaurant that morning was bad. So a little tip to you, whenever you're traveling, you always want to eat at a restaurant that's got a lot of people, because it means the food, it's fresh. So I was so sick. And I'm like, how am I going to get off this plane, through international check-in into Shanghai where I live, get my luggage, wait in line for like an hour and a half in the taxi line, and get a taxi and get through traffic back to my little apartment. I was so sick. So I get off the plane. And like in Asia, they had this, I'm sure they had this during maybe SARS or COVID. They had some like a person with like a little meter or some kind of thermometer, and they scan all the inbound passengers for some kind of, I don't know, disease or temperature or whatever. I think I had such chills, I went below like the limit, not above it. I don't know how I made it past that thing. I mean, if I would have set the thing off, they would have been like, all right, you're dying, sir. I would have been, I don't know. But I made it past that, and I just like drugged myself to like the checkout, and then I drugged myself to like the taxi line. And I got in the taxi. I thought I was going to die. I mean, I had to just hold in my barf. It was horrible. It was the worst thing ever. And then I finally got to my apartment, and I think I just had some ginger ale and just slept for like a day and a half. Oh, it was so bad. I thought I was going to die. It was so bad. It was, like the hangover was eclipsed by the food poisoning about 15 minutes into the air. But there was the moment, like the Zen, like the diagram of hangover and food poisoning. Oh, the overlap, and then it was horrible. But I survived, and I learned, my lesson about, I don't know what I learned, but it was an experience, to say the least. And this base was there with me, and it's still here with me today. 13? So that was around 2011, and now, so 13 years later, 2024. So I hope you like my little story about my travel with my Big Al 5 Music Man bass. Thanks for checking in.